Welcome in, everybody, to another great episode here talking about 2023 fantasy football bust. This time, we're talking about the running backs. Make sure you go check out that quarterback episode that dropped before this one, too, if you want to find out who Dylan's top 3 busts are for that category. And, just a little quick disclaimer, we are talking about ADP here when we're talking about busts. It's not that we think these guys are bad players in any rights, or any means, but just they're going a little too pricey for me and Dylan's likings, mainly Dylan.
Yeah.
But before we jump into it here, make sure you click that like button and subscribe down below here to our YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. And then if you really do like what we do here, go to fantasy6pack.net/plans and make sure you sign up for one of those memberships now available. And you can use the code F6P NFL for 15% off. And you're going to get access to the, most accurate rankings there, in the industry, honestly. I mean, last year we had Joe Bond finish as number 2 in the accuracy competition. So, I mean, that's like what, top 5 finishes for him. That's kind of nuts.
Pretty
but
crazy,
then, the best part here is you get, custom advice on Discord. All right. Any questions you have, DFS, Dynasty, IDP, you got it. Any custom type of questions, we have custom answers for. So make sure you go check that out. But now let's jump back into it here and let's get into our, fantasy football busts for the running backs again. Based on ADP, Dylan, who do you got number 1?
My number 1 guy here is Najee Harris. That I know you don't really love this one from me, man, but I get it.
We don't always have to agree.
He was hurt at the beginning of last year. I get it. He was banged up, but everything still lined up for him. He was top 10 in opportunities shared, weighted opportunities, and carries, and team run plays per game. He just really couldn't get going. He was 51st in breakaway run rate, and his passing game usage went down just with a 9.7% target share. I get it. We thought it was going to go down because going from Ben Roethlisberger to Mitchell to Trubisky and then Kenny Pickett. But it just he's not exciting for me, Mike, and where he's going in underdog ADP, I get it. It's best ball right now, and he's not a sexy player, but he's going at ADP running back 12, and I'm just not going to do it there. I'd rather just draft a wide receiver at that point and take my chances there. Najee's and to be honest with you, this might just be me. Are you a little worried that Jaylen Warren could eat into more of his opportunity this year? Or do you think this is Najee's backfield?
I mean, they've been saying that the past 2 years since Najee's been drafted. So, I mean, if it was going to happen, it should have happened already, especially last year, like when you mentioned Najee Harris's ankle injury going into the foot injury going into the year. Why didn't we see more of Jaylen Warren then?
We did see a little bit last year, but not as much as you would think. That's why I'm curious to see if they're going to try to work him in more to try to keep Najee a little bit more.
But that's why I say if there was ever a time to try him out, work him into the offense, last year was the year when you knew Najee was hurt. So why would it be all of a sudden this year when all of a sudden Najee's healthy that we're going to work him in? That's my only kind of counter argument. But, I mean, the one thing I will just say here, and I'll let you go on, I mean, you kind of just said it all right there. I mean, just volume gold mine here with Najee Harris, right? Would you agree he just gets fed the ball a crap ton in a league where running backs really don't get that many touches? So getting him at the back end of that RB1 spot, that's why it's like, it's play worthy, but we're talking and comparing this to last year where Najee Harris was going top 5 because of this.
Yep. Just even at back end widers or running back 1, I feel like that's his ceiling. I still don't think that he can get into the wide receiver 1 range running back top 5 range there, because I don't see him scoring that many touchdowns. I don't see him being a target monster like he was the first year with Big Ben. So it's like, nah, not right there. I'll pass. I'd rather go a wide receiver there.
It's hard to find a volume that Najee Harris is receiving when you are drafting around that range at RB 10 to 15. But we'll move on here to a guy that's on the opposite end of the spectrum here, and he doesn't work off of volume here. He's actually
not anymore.
More efficient. Yeah, definitely not. He didn't do it last year either, though.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your guy in Seattle here, Dylan.
Mike, it was kind of a death sentence to me when Seattle drafted Zach Charbonnet, and that just not a death sentence, but it kills Kenneth Walker's value. He's still going, I think, as RB18 in underdog ADP, and like I said about Najee, I would just rather go a wide receiver here. He's not a good pass catcher, only 27 receptions last year, which ranked 33rd amongst running backs. Not ideal. And with them adding Zach Charbonnet, that might be his role. He is a home run hitter, as he ranked third in breakaway runs and eighth in breakaway run rate, and you like that. But last year, Mike, he was really carried on the third most red zone touches with 52 and scored the 14th most touchdowns at the position. Those two numbers are both most likely to go down as well. Who's not to say that Zach Charbonnet is not going to be the goal line back, Mike? He's the bigger guy. He's more of the grinder. Like I said, Kenneth Walker is the big play type of guy. What if he loses those? What if those red zone touches get almost cut in half? You know what I mean? Because
how many red zone touches again were those?
52.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of insane. He had to be, if not, leading for running backs there.
He's third most. Yep,
third most. I was gonna say, if not top 5 with that. And we might even see, a team with Seattle that they may not even reach the red zone that many times this year. Like, to get, that many red zone opportunities is a little bit of an anomaly, in my opinion, because, that's just a high number in general.
Yeah.
So, the biggest thing for him, though, is what really helped him last year were the touchdowns. Because he was big play, not volume based, like I started off with. So, now that Charbonnet is there, who's to say it isn't going to be 50-50, more of a 60-40, where Ken Walker is going to be solely relying on those big plays.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't be a consistent fantasy running back, especially where he's going in drafts, with just relying on big plays. You know what I mean? He's going to have weeks where he gets that, 25-yard touchdown run. But what happens when he doesn't hit that? He's going to give you 5, 6, 7 points, and it's just going to, it's going to hurt you.
15 carries for 50 yards.
Yeah, something like that. Exactly.
The good old David Montgomery treatment.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the next guy here. And, switching over to the different conference here, who do you got for the Baltimore Ravens?
I got J.K. Dobbins here, man. And that injury was nasty that he sustained 2 years ago. He thought he was going to be back for the start of the season, and he is just banged up all year, man. Yeah,
Adam Schefter took a lot of crap from him for it, and who was right?
And Dobbins was talking about how he knows more about his knee than doctors do and stuff. He is just a totally weird cat. Anyways, it's a change in the offensive scheme, Mike. With
Todd
Monken coming in. Yep, it's gonna be a little bit more pass happy. J.K. Dobbins is not involved in the passing game. Like, he averaged 1 target per game last year. So that's like, hey, man, what if Dobbins doubles his target share or his targets? Oh, so he's going to get 2? Okay. You know what I mean?
Just, a devil's advocate, side of it here. Like you said, it is a more pass happy, you would think, with Todd Monken coming in, more pass happy. Who's to say some of those can't go to, J.K. Dobbins.
I don't think so, Mike. Not with Lamar as their quarterbacks. Just, run first quarterbacks don't tend to check down to the running backs much. And they brought in Odell Beckham. They still got Mark Andrews there. They're hoping for a little bit of a breakout from Rashad Bateman. I think they'd rather get the ball in those guys' hands through the passing game than J.K. Dobbins, even though he does have some explosive capabilities. And when he is on the field, we've seen him produce, and he's been extremely efficient. But I also haven't even mentioned Gus Edwards, where they're going to be in a timeshare. Dobbins is going to lead this backfield in touches as long as he's healthy. But Gus Edwards just isn't going to go away.
I get that. Yeah, even when they were run happy, they did not give a full workload to the guy that they wanted it, and they struggled for years trying to just find that guy. So let's move on here to our next guy, and it's a new addition for the Eagles. Who you got?
I got DeAndre Swift, man, coming over from the Lions. What did they trade? The Eagles traded like a 6th round draft pick for him. So it wasn't
5th or 6th, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a crazy trade, but he's a pass catching running back, man, on a team that doesn't pass the running backs. That's really why I'm not a big fan of him. He's going as a running back too right now, too, Mike. And he's in a complete RBBC with Rashad Penny and Kenny Gainwell, who we've seen be solid when he gets the opportunity. And you know me, I like Rashad Penny. It's just health with him. Same with DeAndre Swift, Mike. We haven't seen him be able to handle any sort of workload without going down with injury.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, RBBC means running back by committee, which he's exactly in with, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott and Kenneth Walker there.
Like him going as RB23 right now is just blows my mind a little bit. I don't know if that's because people in best ball, because it's best ball, I don't know if they're chasing the upside with him. Like they still think he has upside, even
just
though
being on a better offense, I think.
Yeah, sure.
Because Swift is, he's definitely a guy that he's struggled to stay healthy in his career so far, but he's definitely been an efficient guy. He's not a volume-based guy. Yep. He's one guy, he can average, 8 yards a catch, 4 yards a carry easily. But he's just not getting, 250 plus carries, maybe 200, maybe 200 plus touches.
Mm-hmm. And even if Rashad Penny gets banged up, you're like you said, you're gonna have Kenny Gainwell. You're gonna have Boston Scott to take,
especially when they play the Giants twice a year. Boston Scott, he's the giant killer.
Yep, exactly. And he's gonna find his way into the end zone probably 4 or 5 times. So, like he always seems to. It's just, man. I want really nothing to do with DeAndre Swift.
All right, well, let's move on to another offense here that I'm sure a lot of people are staying away from. But, there's some intrigue here now that we got Sam Howell with the supposed starter. But, what running back are we trying to avoid from the Commanders this year?
It's Brian Robinson, Mike. I just don't think he's very good. I think he's like his value is not bad at RB37, but he's an early down grinder who wasn't efficient last year. I know all the stuff that happened before, and it was crazy that he was able to cut back so quick. But even as he progressed and was healthy, he was never very good. For the third straight offseason, we've heard now that the Commanders need to get Antonio Gibson the ball more. Maybe they do that this year, Mike. Maybe he gets worked in as the pass catcher because J.D. McKissick also isn't there any longer. Like I said, this one comes down to me not really believing in the player here. And the offense isn't spectacular. He's not going to get a ton of red zone opportunities like Kenneth Walker did last year, stuff like that. So Brian Robinson, not for me.
Just not for you. He does kind of give me Damian Harris vibes.
I don't think he's as good, Mike. I think Damian Harris is much better, to be honest with you. But I get the comparison.
Just not really a pass catching back, but maybe they said we got to get him, Antonio Gibson involved in the passing game to light a fire underneath Robinson's ass to get him more of, pass catching reps in the offseason. So who knows? Maybe we'll see him more involved in the passing game. Probably not. But all right, unless you have anybody else, that pretty much wraps up our bus videos for the running backs.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
All right. So, guys, if you do like what we are doing here at Fantasy Six Pack, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and go check out those memberships available at fantasysixpack.net/plans. But other than that, make sure you go check out our wide receiver and tight end bus videos that will be coming out after this one. For Dylan, I'm Mike. Everybody have a good one.
Thanks, Mike.